Alrighty. Do I need to sign into this? No. Open in web browser. Okay. Huh. I guess we're doing that. Okay, all right. Let's get that over there. And I guess I don't really need that if that's open. How do we do that? Let's put the mini feed. Maybe I want that on. Okay. Okay. Not seeing anybody in here yet. 3. Okay. That down. Okay then. There's a couple people. Oh. Hey there in the chat. Say hello if you'd like. Feel free to ask questions. I'm going to get into the drop 2 stuff in a little bit here. Just doing some playing, warming up. Let me know if you can hear me okay as well. Yes on the sound. Thanks. Don't know how to say your name. Pivanic 1. Alrighty. Hey, what up, Barry? All right. I feel like doing some more warming up before I get into it. Sometimes when I warm up, I just like to improvise without any. You call it noodling, any backing tracks or metronome or anything. Sometimes I'll find a tonal center, in this case A minor. Try not to think too like, what's the key or whatever. Sometimes I'll just move. To random chords or keys or tonal centers or whatever, just as a warm-up there. Alrighty. All right, drop 2. I guess we can get into it. I started making this PDF earlier. Let's change that. Should be able to see that now. Let me go to this. Drop 2. What is drop 2? And I've named this major and minor seventh chord voicings. You can do it with dominant sevenths and diminished sevenths, half diminished seventh chords as well. I'm gonna probably make another YouTube video about which voicings Trey will use in PHISH or in PHISH songs. That's what I started out doing this morning, and then I was like, oh man, this is a massive PDF that I need to do. So I'm just gonna keep working on that in this chat. So drop 2. So a lot of us already play drop 2 without knowing that it's drop 2. And when I realized that many years after college, I was kind of pissed. I think it's one of the best pieces of advice I could have gotten from my professors was that you already know a bunch of these drop 2 voicings. That along with thinking of them in terms of from a piano or a theory perspective as opposed to a guitar perspective, and which is what we're going to do, but that's why I've got these things colored differently here, so it can kind of show you what's improbable, likely, playable, and then what is the drop 2 of that chord. So let me see if I can get. Okay, you can probably hear that. Can you hear that when I hear this hit that note? Anybody in the chat, tell me you can hear that or not. Sweet, thanks. All right, so C major 7. A lot of us know this open C major 7, right? Play C major, then release the first finger, and you get the stacking of C, E, G, B, right? I'll go back to that right here. There's that C, E, G, B stacking. Now that's what we call a closed stacking, meaning it's really close together on the piano or the staff, which is really easy to play. It's rather easy to play on the piano because it's just 1, 3, 5, 7. It's the next note in the or every other note in the scale, right? 1, 3, 5, 7, stacking in thirds, right? So the closed stackings are actually. Oh, I'm not even on the thing. Sorry. There we go. 1, 3, 5, 7. The closed stackings are not common to play on the guitar, right? We do have this open one, and we get lucky there because it's in the key of C, or it's a C major chord, which has no flats or sharps, and all of the open strings happen to be all natural notes. You may know this one, 10, 9, 8, 7, right? Starting on the fourth string, that lovely little diagonal shape. 10, 9, 8, 7. That's another 1, 3, 5, 7. And you can do it by going, actually, this one down here. This whole section needs work. I need to work on it. But 1, 3, 5, 7 is right there. 10, 9, 8, 7. And that's a usable close stacking that we use. Sounds very Neil Young-y right there. Now, let's go back to this open one. Actually, I want to reiterate that point. We don't use a lot of closed stackings where it's just 1, 3, 5, 7, right? In piano, like, it's all laid out, each note, kind of like one guitar string is. I often say this to students, that each string or the guitar is 6 different pianos, just stacked in fourths or fifths, and then fourths, and then a third when you get to the G to the B string. So you're kind of like starting over and then moving back when you get to a new string or whatever. So that makes this drop 2 theory-wise kind of confusing, or at least it did for me at the beginning. But if we take it from a theory or a piano perspective, and then just say, hey, the dropped 2 chords are the nice chords to play, to me it makes a little bit more sense that way. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Now here's the definition of a drop 2 chord. You have a closed stacked chord like this, 1, 3, 5, 7. You take the second to the highest pitch, right? One in the closed stacking, and you drop that sucker down an octave, right? Which is what we have here. Notice how we have the 7th, the 3rd, the 1st, all in place of where they were in the closed stacking, and the second to highest pitch, aka drop 2, you drop that second to highest pitch down an octave, and you get a new voicing. Now that is the entire point. You do this on, piano, keyboards, or guitar. Now I find it just theoretically much easier on the piano because you can just see it, and boom, there's that G. Put it an octave below, and that now becomes the bass note. Does that put it into a new inversion? Yes. The root position, C major 7, not inverted chord, now becomes a second inversion. I'm sorry, you can't see the thing again. I got to get better at that. Let me talk some of that over. The 1, 3, here we go. The 7th stayed in the 7th voice. The 3 stayed in the 3 voice. The 1 stayed in the 1. And then that 5, we drop down an octave like that. Here it is. There's a G, 5 down to octave below, right? Sorry about that. I gotta get better at this streaming platform here, showing you all the page that I'm looking at. So the drop 2 was the second highest voice, G, drop down here, and we get this new voicing, this right here, right? 3, 3, 2, 4. So from here, which goes 1, 3, 5, 7, we can drop it down to 5, 1, 3, 7. And notice how the B, and I'll switch. There we go. Now I'm getting better. This B here, right? This B here, or this B here, gets moved over a string. So it's technically the same exact pitch. We just move it over because we're going to try to get away from using open strings. Now, we've got 3, 3, 2, 4. And it's a really beautiful sound. That's kind of one of the main points of these drop voicings is the really gorgeous sounds. There's no like, hey, you have to play, the close stacking. Play the drop voicing, which is an inversion. Sometimes the drop voicing will be a root position as well. And hey, Colin, just started watching your videos. Great. Glad. What does that say? I'm sorry, I can't see what that says. Why is that so far away? Ooh, there's the thing. Glad to be on the live stream. Thanks so much, Vegetables. All right. And welcome. So let me check one more thing here. Yeah, I don't need that one open. That can go away. Sorry, just managing some other windows here. Okay, so we've got, and there's another window that I want open that everybody should see. That is, let me put it as, just a second here. This one, let's see if we can get that on there. And let's add this as a, what is this, an image? Let's do window capture. Let's call this the chart. This is a chart that just kind of helped me see the drop voicings. Hey, Eric, what are we doing here? We are talking about drop 2 voicings. I'm building a big PDF here. I'll go back to it in just a second. That are cool sounds, often get used in like jazz chord melody. Okay, let me bring back the other Sibelius. There's that. And then I won't show this the whole time, but I'll just reference this huge chart here. So the drop 2, this is saying, look, you take 1, 3, 5, 7. The second, I'll get your question just in a sec, vegetables. That second to highest voice there, 1, 3, 5, 7. The fifth became the lowest. So the drop 2 is really on the right here. Let me see if I can get a, what do you call it? Right, this side right here. Wow, that's thick. Is the drop 2 side over here. All this. So you take a close stacking of 1, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 1. Notice how they're all in order of a close stacking of any inversion of, in this case, a major 7th chord. Works with any 7th chord. The root position here becomes the second inversion. The first inversion, the third in the bass, becomes the third inversion. 7th in the bass, the second inversion. 5th in the bass becomes the root position. Notice the symmetry there. And then the third inversion becomes the first inversion. Then there's drop 3. I'll reference that a couple of times, not always. Let's get that off the screen. Okay, so back to this. Now, what is that doing? There we go. Okay, question. Any suggestions for someone just starting out in jazz guitar of where to start beginner tunes, scales? Yeah, scales, you're going to want to master all of your modes, major or Ionian, which is synonymous with major, through Locrian, you know, all of those 7 in order. The most common ones in the jam band world, which is my kind of forte, is Mixolydian and Dorian, but jam band comes from jazz, so those get hugely used in jazz as well, Dorian and Mixolydian. But you also want to learn all 7 of them for positional playing and other reasons. Also, first mode harmonic minor, 5th mode harmonic minor. If you get deeper into jazz, you want to learn your jazz melodic minor modes, and of course your pentatonic scales. So those are the main 4 categories: the Ionian modes, the Greek modes, the church modes, or the major modes. Notice how there's 4 different names for that group. So we just call them the major modes. Then you have the harmonic minor modes. The big ones there to learn are mode 1 and mode 5. And then you have jazz melodic minor. That's got 7 modes as well as the other 3 categories do. And then the pentatonic scale, which is 5 modes. Pent meaning 5. Okay, somebody said, Eric, what the hell is that? Eric said, I came here to get more down, but I'm just confused. Well, maybe sometimes being confused is getting down. In the education world, at least. Yeah. So let's go back to this 1, 3, 5, 7. Notice how we drop the second to highest major scales. Hopefully the modes aren't too difficult from there. They're not, and yeah, they're not. It's just a matter of memorization. It takes time to learn them all, and having the right PDFs, etc., to learn from. Okay, that drop down, and then we have that nice, beautiful shape. There you go. That's that drop 2 of a C major 7. Yes, it puts us in second inversion. Now, the point isn't so much to be like, I need a second inversion or a fifth in the bass major 7th chord. Sometimes you want to think like that, but really it's just a way to think, what are other voicings, other ways to play your typical major 7th chord. I'm going to reiterate this point that I said earlier. Most guitar players who could play 7th chords are already playing drop 2 chords. It's just, I'm still mad at my teacher from 20 or so years ago who didn't really tell me that, like, these are already drop 2 voicings, the main ones that you learn, like this one, or a minor 7, or a major 7 here, or a minor 7, those kind of basic ones. But those are absolutely drop 2 or drop 3 chords. Okay, let's go to this next one here, which is a C major 7 over E, right? That's first inversion. Now look at this totally effed up stacking. 7, 5, 4, 1. 7, 5, 4, 1. Starting on the E string, or the A string. 7, 5, 4, 1. Now how the hell do I play 7, 5, 4, 1? I can't. Alan Holdsworth probably could, maybe on a smaller instrument, but it's just, if I go like this, 7, 5, 4, 5, I can get that C that was on 1 there, but that's on the same string, so it's not possible to play. So that's why I'm calling it improbable closed stacking as opposed to impossible, because some people, maybe on a different instrument or with, an incredible grip and strength, and you get used to that stretch, you could play that closed stacking of a first inversion. It's highly unlikely that people are playing that. Even your Alan Holdsworth, though he probably could and did. Never say never. That's why I say improbable as opposed to impossible. Possible for me, and I would never try. You can use, a partial. You can use like the 5, 4, 1, right? That's kind of like a diminished shape almost. It's still just the top 3. And you can hear it buzzing a little bit, so it's kind of tricky. Lots of tension in there. It's pretty. The bottom half, 7, 5, 4. That's just an E minor triad. Notice how chords are in chords. An E minor triad is inside of a C major 7 chord. All right, but what is our second to highest note here? Of E, G, B, C, going 3, 5, 7, 1. And I can't help myself. Do a little ear training here. Just when you arpeggiate with triplets there. I think it's the X-Files theme song. I could be wrong. I think it is. I always kind of thought about that when I heard that one, that first inversion major 7th chord. But again, you can't play 7, or I can't play 7, 5, 4, 1. Can we move this B down an octave? Yep. And we're going to take this note, this B here, and put it down an octave. See what I did there? B down to this B. The E is an E. The G stays as G. Sorry, the E stays as E. The G stays as G. The C stays as C. But that B we move down, and we get the 7, 7, 5, 5 like this. 7, 7, 5, 5. Now in a vacuum right now, just hearing it, it might sound a little weird. And I think that is because, or I know that it is because, the bass note, not the root, but the bass note is our major 7th, that B, right? Your ears, because of all the Disney movies you've watched and all the, holiday music you've heard, you really want to hear that resolve, that T-do, that major 7th up a half step. But that might come in handy to have something that kind of, dark sounding. Anyway, any questions so far about the drop 2 business? I'm taking a little standing break. Let's just confirm on the... Let me see if I can get that. To look a little different there. So notice we... Give me just a sec. There we go. Notice the 1357. Bloody hell. I want them both up. Oh, you can still see them. The 1357 became the 5137. 5137. The 3571 became... Sorry, I forget. You can't see my mouse. The 3571 became 7351 up there, right? Again, it is just taking a inverted seventh chord of some kind, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, half diminished 7, and giving you a new inversion, not the point to have it be a new specific inversion, but for you to have playable voicings that are just stacked differently to have a different kind of composite, I guess, or a different grouping of notes that is spread apart, really, is kind of the answer there. So let's keep going here. We've got our C major 7 over G, 10, 9, 5, 5. Is that right? 1, 3, sorry, 5, 7, 1, 3. Now that is a big stretch there. 10, 9, 5, 5. I think I can do it, which is why I left it as... It's tough. 10, 9, 5, 5. It's doable. You could also go... No, that one kind of hurts again. Frets get smaller as you go up the neck, so it's a little more doable. But yeah, this is also pretty unlikely, improbable, but I put it as close stacking because it is, in fact, playable. Now we take the second highest note, this C here, and then we drop it down an octave. So now our 5, 7, 1, 3 becomes 1, 5, 7, 3. And let's check that chart, make sure that's there. 5, 7, 1, 3 becomes 1, 5, 7, 3. Yep. That chart there in the black, just the text there, that just helps me kind of make sense of it all. It's not like the way to learn it. It's best that you learn it from, you know, chord shapes and playing them, trying to, you know, integrate them into your playing somehow. So that one goes like this. 10 or 8, 10, 9, 9. 8, 10, 9, 9, like this. Middle fingers 1, 4, 2, 3. Now I'm going to take a pause on that because a lot of you probably know this one, which would put this G up the octave. Let me go back to the thing. I don't want to keep it that way, but if I take this G here and go up the octave, then I have a new shape of this 8, 9, 9, 10. That's a very common, that's actually a drop 3, so I'm not going to do that. That's that, where's that other chart there? That's the drop 3 where you took a 5, 7, no, what'd you take? A 7, 1, 3, 5, and it became 1, 7, 3, 5. 1, 7, 3, 5 there. But that's another story, and I'm probably not going to get to the drop 3 business too much. All right, let's go back here and undo a bunch of stuff. 8, 10, 9, 9. There we go. 8, 10, 9, 9. And lastly, for our C major 7, we've got 14, 10, 9, 8. Man, 14, 10, 9, 8. To me, that's impossible. There's no way I'm hitting that. So look, there's just a basic C major chord up top. And then if you could get the B there. Right? So that is technically the closed stacking, but it's impossible to play, or likely improbable to play on the guitar. All of these shapes, the first ones, this one, anytime they say improbable, they're super easy to play on the piano because it's just the next chord or note in the chord in a row there. Okay, so let's see that top voice is G. The second from the top voice, whoops, bring that down a little bit, is an E. Drop that E down to the bass note. Yes, it takes your third inversion, C major 7 over B. Takes your third inversion down an octave, or the E down an octave, and now it becomes a first inversion with the third in the bass there. So we have this shape, 12, 14, 10, 12. This one's a little tricky. Now more ear training with the, what was that second one? The first inversion, C major 7, closed stacking, was X-Files. I think I'll have to re-listen to it. But this one is that 80s tune. Whenever I hear the, and this is the drop 2 itself, and this goes, what is this? This goes 3, 7, 1, 5. Kind of a jumble there. Let's make sure that that's the right one. 3, 7, 1, 5. Yep, 7, 1, 3, 5. 7, 1, 1, 3, 5 became 3, 7, 1, 5. It's that 80s tune. Who could it be now, right? If you arpeggiate that voicing, which is kind of tricky. You know that tune? Who could it be now? I think that's the melody, or very close to it. So that's just maybe one way to help you memorize the shape or not. Yeah. So practicing wise, I would just hit every second chord. Is there a way that I can highlight? Yeah, I'll highlight this. Well, I'll just highlight the chord itself. This, and this. Now, any new chord is going to be tricky at the beginning, just like when we first started out on guitar. C major was tough, an F bar chord or a B minor bar chord were really tough. You just had to do it over and over again until it became very comfortable, more comfortable. Now, I would do the same thing with this. So you would do, each of these chords, just... go up the neck with them. I don't play this one a lot. This one I just kind of flubbed on. Because I play that drop 3 shape a lot more. And then the hard one. See, I just kind of pedaled on each one to get comfortable with it for a while. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Last one, tricky. Bit of buzz in there. Can't not hear that 80s song in there. Okay. Take a little sit break here. Yeah, really nice voicings there. The second one will be the drop one. And I'll put this PDF up on my Patreon and my website when it's done. I've yet to decide if I want to turn this into a dominant 7th and half diminished 7th as well. Probably should. Might just keep it simple and do major and minor 7th. So that was all on the 6th-string root here, meaning the drop 2 chord ended up on the 6th-string root. So now I'm going to do the 5th-string root, and these all need work. So that's what we're going to do next. And I got to kind of find the origin chord. Sorry, let me get rid of the thing there. There we go. And next is the C major 7, which we talked about, that kind of Neil Young Harvest Moon voicing. I think that's the tune. Right, so we got a C major 7, close stacking, 1, 3, 5, 7. Right, and you can't do that voicing, right, because you run out of strings starting on the G string as the bass note. That's why I am starting on the D string up there. So the second highest note was the G, and it's going to turn into the same chord there. But we're going to do these on so we get fifth string roots. So let's rearrange this. I'm going to say let's repeat that. That is a mess. Let's fix that up. And let's get to the second highest voice. That G right there. And we'll drop it down an octave. And let's put that all on the fifth string, if it lets me. There we go. So that 1, 3, 5, 7 became, what does that become? 5, 1, 3, 7, right? And then we got 10, 10, 9, 12 here. Really pretty easy shape, just a little bit of a stretch with the pinky. We got 10, 10, 9, 12. Right? 10, kind of like an E major chord. Moved up to the 9th position. And then to get to your major 7th, you play that pinky up on the 12th fret there. All right. So there's your drop 2, and it's a nice one. And we need to change the name of that chord. It becomes C major 7 over G. All righty. So let's go to the next one. We need a C major 7 over E. Let's put that up the octave. Ooh, I wanted the whole chord. Like that. Now that looks very unplayable. For those of you still with us. 17, 16, 13. It's actually not, because we have an open string, but I don't like the way that it's presenting as the lowered pitch is the open string, because that's not what's represented here, right? This high C there should be in the second lowest voice there. So let's go back and see if we can rework that a different way. What we want is C major 7 over E. So that needs to go 3, 5, 7, 1. So if you do an E chord, 3, 5, 7, 1, you could go 14, 12, 12, 8. And I'm just going to change the tab. There we go, 14, 12, 12, 8 there. We just did that. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see. Let me get that back going. There we go. 14, 12, 12, 8. Before it said this 17, 16, 13 open. But again, this E, this open E is way down here, right? Even though that is the lowest pitched note, we don't want it to show on the tab as the lowest on the guitar. Even though all of these 3 notes are lower or higher in pitch than our bass note, which is the E. It's just kind of weird. I want it to represent close stacking as much as we can, like a piano, even though it's impossible or improbable. So let's go. What do we want here? We want, already did this, right? 3, 5, 7, 1. 3, 5, 7, 1. So that's going to go 14, 14. So 14, 12, 12. notice how that... should have been a 12. There we go. So that becomes my 3, 5, 7, 1. And let's just check that. 3, 5, 7, 1. And we need to turn that into a 7, 3, 5, 1 by doing the drop action of taking this second to highest voice, which is a B, and we drop it down an octave. Now let's do this where we just repeat this again and take the B, second highest voice, drop it down an octave, and you get a really, that looks like a really easy shape on the D string, the 4th string. See if we can just move that down, and now you get this 14, 14, 12, 13, and it's actually just a second. And oh, nice, the chord is the correct chord listed. Yep, good. All right, so let me show you how to play that. I go 3, 4, 1, 2. And that's a lot like this one was up here. It's just full of dissonance because you got that bass note of the major 7 really wanting to give us our Disney princess ending of the major 7 to 1. Or this. Let's go down here. 5th string root. That one right there. 14, 12, 13. And I go fingers 3, 4, 1, 2. That's the way that I fret those. Again, these can be really tricky when you first get used to them. So far we've got and it'd be cool to hear these over like a pedaled bass chord maybe. If I just do like a 1 and a 5, like a power chord of a C. Yeah, just chords is probably what I want better on this. Right now I've got just a 1, 5, 1. That's in C sharp. What happened? Hold on a second. There we go. Be careful with your tracking on your whammy pedals. Now I've got that bass chord just pedaled. It's that C sharp again. What is going on here? Something's tricky with my tracking. What the hell? Down an octave. That's a C, right? There we go. Okay, there we go. It's just moving up a half step to C sharp for some reason. So now I can practice. Ah, it moved it up again. It's so weird. C. That's without the bass. Try it again with the bass one more time, then I'll kind of quit if that's not working. There we go. All right, back to a C. 7 that way or this way. It's that first drop 2 we had, then this new one. Ah, lots of color in that third inversion with the 7th in the bass there. That was weird with the tracking on the whammy pedal. Those can do that sometimes. Now, what did we say about this 14, 12, 12, 8? I'm going to call it improbable. Pretty impossible for me. All right. Now let's go. Everything looking good there. Let's go to this next one, C major 7 over G. Now we've got, let's put it up the octave. And says closed stacking for now. These are just copy and pasted. So we'll see if that's even playable. Also, we want what? 5, 7, 1, 3, right? 5, 7, 1, 3. Yep. And then, so we got 5, 7, 1, 3. So that's correct. Yep. Saying 5, 7, 1, 3, 17, 16, 13. That one's almost doable. 17, 16, 13, 12. Kind of tricky though, so I'm going to say more like this. Improbable closed stacking. Right? You probably wouldn't use that one. And that goes 5, 7, 1, 3. Yep, that's the right one. Let's copy that. And we will drop the second to highest note, which is our C, our root, down an octave. And it gives us that very nice 4th string root. Let's see if we can just move that down to the 5th string root. And get that 15, 17. Let's make it easier to read. Let's do this whole thing down an octave. And that'll make this a lot. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. Uh-oh. I gotta do that again. Whoops. Let's go. There it is, 3, 5, 4, 5. That's that classic C major 7 shape there. This one. Which is like what I was saying is the shape, the first major 7 shape a lot of us learn. And it's actually a drop 2 shape. It goes 1, 5, 7, 3. So it's not a closed stacking. A lot of times when we first learn our 7th chords, we are not learning closed stackings. We're learning a spread apart drop 2 or 3 chord. In this case, a drop 2 chord. All right, one more here. And let's fix the... Actually, let me get my sound going here. Show you the... sound of it. There's that classic shape we know. There's that first one we learned. And then that third one. Again, that B in the bass is really fully dissonant. So let's go to this last one. Move that up the octave. Do we even need to? Maybe we don't need to. Let's go back to where we were. 14, 10, 9, 8. Let's see if we can move that. 9, 5, 8, 9. I don't like that either. So if we go... is it the same? Yeah, we can use that same close stacking that we had there before. I guess we should do it on a different string set so it looks a little different. 3, 5, 5 with a 9. That, I'm going to say, is completely impossible, but I'll leave that language there. 9, 5, 5, 3. And let's repeat it. And move the second highest voice, the E, down an octave. And move that shape over to the 5th string. Now, something's a little fishy there because, first of all, this should not say this. This should say C major 7 over E. Like that. 7 over G, E to B, E to B, G to C, G to C, B to E, B to E. Okay, there we go. Now this one, 7, 9. Yep, that's correct. That's that 1980s style. Or that song. Right, and there's our drop 2. So let's copy that, bring it over. Now, I don't want to give away the PHISH drop 2. I'm going to reveal that in the YouTube video I put out in the next whenever I get to making that. Hopefully this PDF makes it a lot easier to make that video. So, let's save on that. Now, we could go on to minor chords. Right? And we could go on to minor chords and make them on this chart, which I think I already did here. You can see all the flats on the 3rd and the 5th, or the flat 7s, flat 3s and the flat 7s there. So, let's see, did I already do this? 8, 6, 5, 3. That's a pretty improbable one. Right off the bat, we don't even have a close stacking that's playable. And then this next one, the drop 2 that it becomes is very playable. 3, 3, 1, 3. And we look something like this. At 8, 6, 5, 3. It's just too much of a comfortable stretch or uncomfortable stretch that you wouldn't be able to play it. Next, we've got a 6, 5, 3. Again, likely impossible. We drop the second to highest note, that B flat, into the bass, and we get this shape, which is really easy to play here. 6, 6, 5, 5. Sorry, I want to get rid of something here. Save changes. There we go. Now, okay. And something you should know, because when you're going from a minor or a major 7 chord to a minor 7 chord, you just take the 3rd and flat it, and the 7th, and you flat it, right? So you can see this 3, 3, 2, 4 way up here. 3, 3, 2, 4 became 3, 3, 1, 3, meaning we flatted the 3rd down a half step to an E flat, right? And then we flatted the 7th at B down to a B flat there. So it's almost like you don't have to like relearn all of these shapes of, hey, these are all the minor shapes. You can just say, hey, what were my major 7 shapes? Find those 2 notes and try to flat them if that's an easy way for you to memorize them. I just, personally don't have my minors all memorized. Even my majors, I don't use them a lot because I don't do a lot of jazz chord melody stuff. But they are very pretty. Okay, we've got the next one, 6655. Get some stacked fourths there, which is pretty cool. Over a minor chord, so if we go. And then that next one is 10-8. That's impossible to play that second highest note is that C. We dropped it down. We're now in root position, and we get a really common one. You probably know this from some blues playing. It's 8-10-8-8, right? 8-10-8-8. A cool thing with any of the drop 2 6-string roots. I want to copy that. Put that down here. And should also say these are minor 7ths. And then we'll copy this, go up here and say these are major 7ths. And a little space there and there, etc. Okay, so here we go. Back to minor 7ths. We don't really need the apostrophe. We were here, I think. 10-8. Totally impossible for me to play. Drop the C, the 1, the root, down an octave, and you get this very basic shape. 8-10-8, 8-10-8-8. And this is what I want to say about drop 3. A quick way to get to a drop 3, which is kind of the most common 6-string root 7th chord shapes is just taking the note on the 5th string after you're in drop 2, put that up on the B string, right? That G. See if you can go like this. And then see if it'll let us respell. Oh, there it was. Right? Then there's that 8, skip, 8-8-8. That's a very common root position minor 7 shape. But we want to go back to this shape right here. Right? For our minor 7th shape. And that's probably the most common one. You could bar all the way across and get that minor 7 shape, which a lot of people learn for their first minor 7 shape. Put the pinky down. All right, and then you can sound like Trey. All right, so 8-5-4-3. Let's see what that looks like. 8-5-4-3. Got 8, 5-4-3, 5-4-3 with an 8. It's impossible for me. But can we take that E flat, put it down an octave there, and give us an 11, 13, 10, 12, 11, 13, 10, 12. It's like the minor version of that 80s tune. What is the name of that song? Let me see if I can. Somebody in chat might know, but is it called Who Could It Be Now? Men at Work. Right. Gotcha. I've heard of that before. Okay, so let's go back here, and we got that. Now we need all of our fifth string roots, so we're going to just copy all this, and that'll be the last thing we do today is go through the fifth string roots. Should be on a new page. Let's turn these into fifth string roots. I just do something like this where I go, that's up an octave. And if we go 10, 8, 6, 6. It's 10, 8, 8, 6, excuse me. Though the 10, 8, 6, 6 was really cool. This one's actually pretty playable. So I'm going to call that just a close stacking that is playable. And I'm going to repeat it. Not all the crap. And what we want to do is take that second to highest note, drop it down an octave. Then we get our C minor 7 over G. Now, there's our drop 2. Now let's play. Let's play. How can we get a C minor 7 over G? Let's put it into the fifth string root there. Just take that down like this. 10, 10. Oh, it's a gorgeous sound. That's what it looks like. A lot like our major 7. Right? Move the third down half step. Move the major 7th down a half step. Give you a minor third and a minor 7th. Second inversion drop 2. Okay, let's do 3 more here. We got C minor 7 over E flat. Put it up the octave and see how impossible that will be. 13, 12, 11. And something's weird there. No, that's right. 13, 12, 11. Yeah, that's right. That was actually somewhat doable. I guess when you get to some of the fourth string ones, the strings are smaller, and you get higher up the neck too, so they become a little bit more playable. Hey, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. I'm almost done. I could stick around too for a while. Got any questions? So we got our fourth string root. Not fourth string root, but fourth string root. But we're going to move that. First of all, we're going to repeat it. We repeated it. We're going to take that second highest note, which in this case is the flat 7, the B flat. I'm going to drop that down an octave. So now we got 7, flat 3, and that's a flat 3 because this E flat is representing the note. Head, the note head. I don't know why that line's there. It's kind of weird. We can do that. There we go. Now we've got our drop 2. Now look how easy that is on the fourth string root. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see the board here. So I just took this C major 7, and then actually I'll do that all over again so you can see it because I screwed up. So before we had this, and then I said, all right, I want to copy that, take the second highest voice there, drop it down an octave, happened to be the flat 7, and then I said, look how easy this 888 is, one that we're very used to playing, right? It's real easy, 888, but we want to put this all on the fifth string root because we're doing fifth string roots, so hopefully it just lets me move down there, and then we go 13, 13, 12, 13. 13, 13, 12, 13. Let's see if that's right. 13, 13, 12, 13. Kind of like an inverted dominant ninth shape almost. finger-wise at least, fret-wise. 13, 13, 12, 13. And if that's on a minor 7, like, let's do a 13, 13, 12, 13. 13, 13, 12, 13. I would probably play it like this. Fingers 2, 3, 1, 4. Just some different options so you're not stuck with your first ones you learn. That's C minor 7, that's C minor 7, or this one, which all are drop 2 chords, as we've learned. Okay, so we need this to be copied and moved over here. Let's call this one, what happens if we put that up the octave? It's really high up there. So 17, 15, 13, 12, 13, 11, 17, 15, 13, 11. Doesn't even, sorry, I just moved this one here. It was down an octave here, that. I want to move it up there. Now, that goes. That's actually playable. I'm going to call that just a closed stacking. They're all closed stackings, but some are just not possible for me. And most people, I would say. 17, 15, and that goes 5, flat 7, 1, flat 3. Yeah, that's a closed stacking. Sounds pretty cool. I'm gonna reset my mic and GarageBand real quick here too. Should be back on the vocals. And GarageBand takes a minute to load back up, so I'll give a sec on that. Okay, while we're waiting though, let's get to the, what are we on here? The third one. So I'm just going to repeat that. It'll let me repeat it without the, there we go. Now I've got my repeated chord. I'm going to take the second highest pitch, which happens to be our root. And you can see it's anticipating being a root position. Sorry, let me make sure GarageBand's good to go. Yeah, good. And then we go second highest voice, which happens to be the root, down an octave. 10, 12, 11, 11. That looks pretty easy on the 4th string. Let's just push that down. 15, 17, 15, 16. I'm going to do us all a favor and make this way easier and say, why don't we drop that down an octave, just so you can see that very familiar fingering and voicing. 3, 5, 3, 4. Do it with a bar typically. Let me show you on the main screen here. 3, 5, 3, 4. Right, there's your David Bowie for PHISH, right? Thinking 2 different keys than that. Right, he's hammering on a minor 7, or the Doobie Brothers. Long Train Running, etc. Those are with hammer-ons, though, from not minor 7 chord. And then we've got our third inversion here of the C minor 7 over B flat. Let's push that up an octave. 20, 17, 16, 15. Oh boy. Some guitars only go up to what? 19? No, I guess Strats go to what? 21? 17, 19, 21, no, 22. So you should be good to make a 20. That means I'm down here because I've got 24, 22, 20, 20, 17, 16, 15. That's doable. Way up there at least. Wow. It's funny how chords, even though they can sound 20, 17, 16, 15, even though they are the same stacking, you could play it maybe in a different register or even on a different instrument and they'd sound way different. It's just the tonality, the tonal quality of different instruments or registers of pitch, octaves of pitch, right? All right. So that is, I'm not even going to say improbable. I'm going to call it a closed stacking. I think these happen because, again, we're up on the 4th string and high up the neck where the frets are smaller, so they're a bit more doable. This one I didn't like. 13, 12, 11. But it's totally doable. Hey, let's do this. 8, there we go. And let's replace that with one of these good things. No red ink on this one. That's kind of nice. All right, so we've got 20. 20, 17, 16, 15. Not saying these are easy, but they are a lot more doable than some of these other ones we came across. 6 fret stretches, etc. All right, let's copy this one and call that over E flat. That's the 2nd highest pitch there. And let's move that down an octave and down to the 5th string. And that will go 6, 8, 5, 8. Now what fingers do we want to use here? I'm gonna go 2, 6, 8, 5, 8, like this. 2, 3, 1, 4. It's a bit of a stretch. This one's kind of tricky. Gorgeous though. Right? So that's kind of like our Who Could It Be Now, right? The 1st inversion 5th string root, just like it was. Yep, 1st inversion 5th string root for the major. The Men at Work song, Who Could It Be Now? That kind of melody thing. And that's our last drop 2 for the 5th string root. Now, I might move these all over onto a different. You can't see what I'm doing. Sorry. I'm going to move these all over to a page break so things just look a little nicer. Here, 5th string root, and our 5th string root, minor 7s. Something like that. All right, let's go back in and make sure that last one. So let's just kind of do a vamp on a C minor. Pedal, I guess. Go through our different shapes here. We know this one works, the C minor 7 down here. The next one up is, they weren't quite in order of the fretboard, but that's okay. This kind of almost like a fully diminished 7th looking one. Anytime I'm learning a new chord, and a lot of these chords I'm not really well versed in. Again, I'll just go back and forth. Bend too much. Sometimes you'll bend and pull it out of tune like I just did. Right? 10, 10, 8, 11. That 5th string root, 2nd inversion. And then that last one, 13, 13, 12, 13. if I could get them all on quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That one's the hardest one. Anyway, that's your minor sevenths. Freeze there. All right, a couple viewers left here. Any questions? I'm thinking about calling it. Could do some other stuff if anybody has anything else they wanted to go over. I'm doing tonight's live stream because I had a couple of cancellations for my core group of my Patreon community open studio sessions. So I thought, hey, I might as well show people the PDF that I'm building here and maybe you guys got something out of it. I've made some other drop PDFs. Actually, I need to turn this into a PDF. And we'll do that by going to the lessons, Bailey's PDFs, chords, drop chords, export. So I'll make sure to put that on the Patreon and my website if anybody's interested. If you're interested in taking one-on-one Zoom lessons with me, you can see the phone number there. Give me a call, text me, send me an email, whatever. Yeah, cool. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and hope you all take care. That's drop 2, and I'm going to make a video kind of showing all these drop 2s, or the drop 2s that I know that Trey uses in a few different PHISH songs in a future video. Hope you all are well.